Apparently she went down the slide and collided with a truck portion of it, just like hit her right there. She's with my mother-in-law right now. I don't want, like, I feel like that was, yeah.
The next one.
Really cool earring. Are those beaded earrings?
And they are beaded, yes.
Yeah.
They're lots of fun earrings, so.
Yeah, but like the beads and how they like line up as a pattern.
Well, thank you. We were just saying at I Love Books, they have some very similar to this.
Yeah, we can, I'm sorry, just kidding. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the Board of Trustees meeting of Monday, June 10th, 2024. The first order of business is public participation. I think we have some today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, board members, for all that you do for the community. The Bethlehem Public Library Board of Trustees has been accused of blocking freedom of speech at the library by Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace as a consequence of their December 4th public program. This is a false accusation made by an organization whose members are angry with the board. The issue of freedom of speech is not new to the world of libraries. In fact, the Library Bill of Rights states the following: libraries which make exhibit spaces and meeting rooms available to the public they serve should make such facilities available on an equitable basis, regardless of the beliefs or affiliations of individuals or groups requesting their use. So what happened? Bethlehem residents attended a special meeting called by the trustees, which allowed them to express their concerns about the December 4th program. The trustees listened carefully to the comments of the community members and decided to allow Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace the privilege of using the meeting space for this event. The meeting was held as scheduled. December 4th, 2023, Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace presented their program as scheduled with a speaker who advocated for the reestablishment of Palestine and the elimination of the country of Israel. The speaker denied the atrocities of the October 7th attacks committed against Jews. The speaker accused an attendee of wearing a terrorist sweatshirt as the crowd cheered. The speaker used the phrase "from the river to the sea." This phrase in the Hamas charter calls for the elimination of the state of Israel. Many countries have banned its use, and the United States House of Representatives approved a decision that condemns the phrase as anti-Semitic. The meeting room was filled for the program. In addition, the hallway was filled, which eliminated both the route to the bathroom and a fire exit. The program was controversial, and consequently, the audience was unruly. A few weeks after the program, Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace was denied access to the library's community room for 1 year. Access was not denied because the program was unruly or the hallway blocked, but because their presenter was selling his book in the parking lot. This is a violation of the library policy, and as the organization presenting the program, Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace was responsible for this infraction. After the meeting, community members attended the December 11th board meeting. Once again, board members listened respectfully to the comments of all attendees. Since that time, Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace have attended all 5 trustee meetings because they feel the year sanction is unfair. They have accused the members of the board of finding an excuse to sanction them and of ignoring the impact of the Israel-Hamas war.
30 seconds.
There were a number of people who repeated this message at each meeting. Thank you. It's really great to be here. I think this is
You can take it off the thing too if you
I
like.
need it.
Members of Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace have also broadcast their anger at the board on social media and in public, citing the curtailment of their free speech. In fact, on 2 occasions, they have stood in front of the library with signs and megaphones. The large signs continue to accuse the library of obstructing free speech. During all this time, the trustees of the Bethlehem Library have listened. They have not commented about the accusation or done anything to stop them. This demonstrates the Bethlehem Public Library's commitment to free speech and the false narrative of Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace's accusations. BNP is angry that they are being held responsible for violating policy at a meeting they sponsored. I want to commend the board for listening to the community's comments about the Israel-Hamas war while keeping focus on the local community and its needs. This conflict is international, and the effect of any action on the part of the trustees would have no impact. The New York State Board of Regents says the following about library trustees. Trustee or board members owe allegiance to the institution and must act in good faith with the best interest of the institution in mind. The conduct of a trustee board member must at all times further the institution's goals. You, trustees, have kept your eye on our local needs. Finally, I want to briefly comment on the resolution that is in tonight's packet. It consistently talks about the board's inability to identify individuals who did this and that. Identifying individuals is not relevant to the sanction on Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace. They sponsored the program, and even after seeing the outcry at the special board meeting, made no effort to manage it. They were unable to clear the hallway. They did not identify or discuss with the speaker language which might be provocative, and the speaker sold books in the parking lot. To say that individuals need to be identified is an excuse. It is not the board's place to identify individuals. It was Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace responsibility to manage and control the meeting. This resolution should not be passed. Thank you. Robert?
Thank you, as always. Congratulations to the recently re-elected board members. Best wishes to Charmaine. And I want you to know that I continue to be a supporter of the library and will remain so. I understand that the draft meeting room policy is coming up for approval tonight, final vote. And so I guess this is my last shot at it. And let me tell you what I think. The library must protect freedom of speech and avoid censorship. The draft policy, as a previous person mentioned, even states that meeting rooms are available on an equitable basis, regardless of beliefs or affiliations. But that will not be the case if this draft policy is adopted as it now reads. The only way that a community group, which is not a 501c or similar nonprofit, can hold an open to the public meeting or public event with up to 65 attendees is to be sponsored by a 501c3. 501c3s will decide whether this room will be made available to Bethlehem community groups for meetings and public events. Policy has no standards that 501c3s must follow in deciding whether or not to offer sponsorship to a group, and there will be no accountability for their decisions. 501c3s are free to disregard the library policy that meeting rooms are available on an equitable basis if they so choose. 501c3 can decline to sponsor a group for any reason it chooses. It doesn't even have to provide a reason for declining sponsorship. And most importantly, I think there is no process in the policy for appeal to the board when a community group fails to obtain sponsorship, even if the proposed meeting or event is for the most benign and non-controversial purpose. The result is community groups can and will be denied use of this meeting room for unstated reasons by 501cs having no interest in sponsoring community groups in this library. Library trustees are elected to represent the citizens of Bethlehem. You should not delegate your authority to manage this library to unelected, unaccountable 501c3s. Take responsibility yourselves for how the room is being used. Please reconsider what you are doing. This draft policy can be easily fixed. Thank you very much.
Leslie?
Good evening. I think the word accountability is a very telling word concerning the situation here. I've been getting up here for now, this is 6 months, telling you all the things that you did not bother to be accountable for. And that is your own practices and policies that you have in the library. We have been using the library for over 20 years, and we have had numerous kinds of speakers, because this is a place of education. It's an institution where we are supposed to be able to learn, to read, to form different opinions, to study, to debate. But that can't happen in this library anymore, because if someone's made uncomfortable by information that they don't like, they can shut down the organization that is sponsoring a speaker. And I don't see that as actually being accountable to the First Amendment and to free speech. If this educational institution is not going to allow certain kinds of education and information to be discussed, then it is not honoring the First Amendment, and it is denying free speech. And the preposterous rules that you're trying to come up with, you must have been turning yourselves into pretzels to try and find a way that you could just block us and try to make it look legal. And it just clearly is an effort to shut down an organization that has been a contributing part of this community for well over 20 years and never had a problem until we got a bunch of hecklers on the 5th who showed up and tried to shut down the evening by saying that it was hate speech and calling the police and bothering the director to try to have us leave the room. That is not what free speech and the First Amendment are about. And I feel that you have not done any of the things that you said you were going to do or try to do, like an investigation into the harassment of people at BNP. And there were multiple examples of that. So that's just something else you haven't been accountable to. Any of the suggestions that were made, none of them happened. Nobody followed through. And I don't think that that's showing accountability or responsibility. And yet you're asking the community support $36 million bond to enhance the library, but you're really going to constrict its use.
30 seconds.
That's it.
Evelyn? Yes. Miles? Yes. That's everybody.
Okay, does anyone else have public participation, public comment? Okay, moving on to the review of previous meeting minutes, pages 2 through 11.
There's 2 of them in there.
2 of them. Okay, let's take the first one, which is the meeting minutes of the May 13th meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the meetings of or the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. In opposition, that motion carries. There's another set, he said, let's see, the June 4th meeting, special meeting of June 4th, pages 10 and 11.
I move to accept the minutes of the meeting of June 4th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Aye. Seeing no opposition, that motion carries. Okay, we're gonna go into a building project update. Suzanne?
Hi, everyone. Let's see, share my screen. Can the host allow me to share, please?
Yep. Okay.
Great. Okay, can you all see that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I have a design update. The presentation slides include some recap and a little bit more detailed information. I'll try to go a little more quickly through the update since it should be kind of a recap of of the recap since it's all stuff that you've been seeing before and focus on the update. So again, with the recap, we've been looking at these 5 whys. They've been displayed at the community events more recently, and they're on the presentation slides that are on the website. We also have the purpose statement, really about positioning the library as a community resource that is accessible to all, offering modern programming in a mindful environment that's nestled within the fabric of the community, designed in a way that's welcoming, simple to navigate, modern, and adaptable to a variety of programs, both inside the library and throughout the site, optimizing the library so that both patrons and staff have cohesive environments to suit their evolving needs and to support the next generation of collaboration, discovery, and learning. And the quick update or recap, sorry, is just kind of going really back to where we started in this project. So we completed the planning study in January of 2023 and landed on a general organization of how the building should lay out on the site relative to the program and the site circulation, things like that. And it was this split the middle scheme out of the 5+ options that were looked at. We also looked at how then to organize the program within the building. So this was the narrative that was selected, which we called Dovetail, which is really about how the spaces can provide a gradient from more public to more private, from louder to more quiet, and where they intersect in the middle become a node in the middle of the library, and really how to optimize the diversity of space needs and patron needs throughout the environment. We've gone through schematic design, and now we're at the end of design development. So schematic design, this was the plan. Then we had some engagements with staff so that they could get their thoughts out in regards to how the spaces would function for them. And from there, we've taken those comments and kind of worked through them with the library staff and the director to revise the plan. We've also recently had some sustainability conversations with the board, as well as comments that we heard from community members at the Talk to the Architect session. So organizing those into a couple categories, primarily site and connection to nature. You see some things about green space, native plantings, that sort of thing, as well as daylighting and views. So how daylighting and views kind of come into the building and being intentional about that. Indoor air quality came up in various ways. So thinking about materiality as well as ventilation. Alternative transportation, thinking about, yes, there's a large parking area, but how can other aspects be encouraged and be safe? So safety throughout the neighborhood, encouraging pedestrians, having a bike repair station, water fountain outside, things like that. And then energy. So what does that mean for the energy of the building, operational? Was there a comment?
Nope.
Okay. Operational energy, as well as things like site and how maybe there's charging stations on the site, furniture and EV chargers, things like that. And then kind of jumping into the plan updates. Again, I'll kind of go through these quickly and point out some of the things that might be a little bit new. One is the site plan. There's a little bit of massaging that's happening in terms of the design, just kind of looking at how the pathways meander throughout and work together with the overall design of the building as well. The parking spaces, this has been the case for the last couple times we've presented this, but the existing spaces is 117. There's an increase to 136 spaces. Of that, there are 6 EV charging stations and 6 handicap spots. You'll see the EV charging is here and the handicap is here. We can always revisit and relocate those things as needed. And then the green arrows here show the entry. So the primary entry here is right in the middle. Then there's the Delaware Avenue entry, which is almost in the same spot that it is now, a little bit moved to align better with the program and architecture, also getting ADA access to that side of the building. And then we're still showing a secondary entry on the side of the building here. There were comments at one point, do we really need that entry there? So at the moment we're showing it, can always be revisited. And then for safety and egress purposes, there's a lot of rescue windows and other exit-only aspects across the perimeter that connect to the various walkways and things like that. So that's the site plan as it stands now. And then the proposed floor plan, so this is oriented a little rotated. This is directly due north, so the following plans will show it page north rather than real north. And so some of the things you'll notice, again, the entry points here highlighted. And then moving to the overall plan with some statistics here, you see the dashed line here. If you can kind of follow my cursor, that is the existing footprint of the library. So it kind of gives you a good indication of the addition spaces. So the kind of starting with the main entry piece, there's lobby, gallery, display, corridor along the perimeter with the larger of the community spaces in the middle. That is to host up to 250 people, but it's divisible into 3 spaces. Then there's the smaller of the community spaces that is divisible into 2 and is also attached to the children's area so that it can be doubled and multi-purpose for children programming and community programming, depending on the time and scheduling. Another thing you'll notice is that we're looking at kind of better utilizing some of the space in the lobby. So having that as some flexible, kind of adaptable space. So showing it as a kitchenette for serving the community needs when there's coffee or catering or something like that, but also using that to double as green space or potentially in the future, maybe meeting space, something that's a little bit more flexible to adapt to future needs of the library. Then the rest of the block here is there's toilet rooms, family restrooms, furniture storage, and some mechanical space. Then coming into the main library in green here, you see all of that light green is the open main library area with a living room in the middle that is underneath the existing kind of larger, taller skylight area. And then the slightly darker green are all of the meeting rooms. So there's currently 4 and an increase to 12, I believe, or it might be 13. And then on either side of that, you see the staff areas in blue. That is divided to circulation staff. Again, this is kind of the orientation you've been seeing. Circulation staff and public service staff having some shared areas in the middle, but the circulation staff also having access to the curbside pickup. And then the other staff area is administration, IT, tech services and IT, thank you. So kind of a little bit more on this side of the library, but having good visibility to the Delaware Avenue and throughout the library. And then in yellow here, you see the children's library. So it is mostly a large open space with stacks kind of towards the front, but an open play space towards the back, as well as the children's craft area that is attached to a storage and community space here for some of the either messier or noisier things. And then in this pinkish color is the teen area, so an open stack and study area, as well as an enclosed teen area for either when they need some quiet for studying and things like that, or when they have some events that are a little bit louder. And then in gray is the maintenance and back of house spaces. So that covers the plan. Trying to think if there's anything else to point out. With the kind of re-looking at the maintaining an entry at at Delaware Avenue, we flanked that space. On the left side there, you'd always been seeing the adult craft maker space. And on the other, now there's an enclosed quiet space. That had been a comment that came up several times about wanting kind of a gradation of open, more public spaces where you could sit and read, as well as some, quieter space, group space, or individual quiet space, as well as some enclosed quiet space. So having a lot of diverse options depending on what people are looking for. So the statistics on the left there, again, these were shared at the last meeting. So they're up there just to kind of show the difference in square footage. So there's a 52% increase of the overall library area. And then we're looking at, this is that increase per program. So you can see that each program space from teen, children, main library, study rooms, staff space, and community rooms are all increasing. That really is speaking to the need that the library came to in terms of just that has a lot of traffic and needs to support the patron volume with that increase. And here I'll kind of skim through these and I'll send an update as well. This one page has a little bit more than what your packet has there, but wanted to give a scope overview in case there's a couple things that maybe some folks are not aware of. Some of the elements have been part of the project in terms of the cost estimate and our documentation, but if some of them were a little bit more nitty gritty, we might not have highlighted them. So I just wanted to make sure everybody had that information. So some of it, I'm sure, but others. So for instance, that it's a two-phased project, new construction first, renovation second is what we're recommending. The CM will help us navigate what that it should be exactly. Then renovation of the existing spaces, removal of the mezzanine and reconstruction of the roof associated with that. And then new additions to support staff, children, community space. Outfitting the community rooms appropriately, and then a new roof. So that's removing the existing EPDM roof and providing a new one with insulation and structural elements that meet code as it does not currently. Looking at some skylights that are currently covered up and re-exposing those. Relocating the entry, loading dock, redistribution of staff areas, the front area of the library, new stacks, and then some general repointing, which is essentially rehab and repair of the exterior masonry that is remaining. And structurally, there are some aspects to the library that currently don't meet code. So looking at shear wall and diagonal bracing and things like that to bring that up to code. And then the new construction is essentially matching the foundation construction of what you have of the existing. So site, this I believe everyone's pretty much aware of. So just how that's being adapted to follow the new footprint of the building, accessibility of kind of having access with walkways and how that's done for safety purposes, the curbside pickup loop, getting the maintenance area and loading dock and dumpsters and things like that away from the front of the building and more to the back and having that navigation make sense. Let's see, bike racks, bike fix station, water fountain, things like that. Mechanical, so this is geothermal wells. There are 50 wells at 450 feet each, and they will be installed under the parking area. And then heat pumps will be distributed throughout using ductwork, and those systems will be above the ceiling, limiting what's on the roof and the noise associated with that. Water-to-water heat pumps to supply hot water, 4 energy recovery ventilation units inside the building, and then a new, that system will be controlled by a new BMS system. And then plumbing, high efficiency heat pumps, new roof drainage, replacing some of the sanitary pipes, but not all. And then adding that for new plumbing fixtures. And then fire protection, this is one that is, you are currently not sprinklered, so the new building will be sprinklered. That partly is based on the size of the building that it will be, as well as best practices for safety. And that you can see a little bit more on that discussion there. Electrical, this would be replacing all of the existing electrical service and providing new with a new transformer. And it'll be fully electric, upgrading lighting with LED, emergency lighting, fire alarm system, new phone and data infrastructure, security cameras. And then the hazmat scope is in the library roof and associated roof drains, the residence on Borthwick Ave that is being demolished, and then the ceiling in that main area of the library. So if there's any questions on that, I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of had a deeper understanding of what the scope of the project was beyond design. Are there any questions on that?
I do too. So Suzanne, this is Charmaine, under fire protection, where it says new sprinkler system, are you talking about in the new construction and the existing building, so run throughout the building?
Correct.
Okay, and then back on structural, where you said there are certain parts of the current building that doesn't meet building code.
Current code, yes, it did when it was built.
So given that it doesn't meet current code, is it kind of grandfathered in using that term? Just,
Our renovation, correct me if I'm wrong, Albert, our renovation level makes it that you are required to upgrade it because we're doing significant amount of work.
okay. So if for some reason the upgrade and construction doesn't happen, what happens with that building code stuff? Does it just stay, it's under the previous code and so it doesn't have to be addressed?
Yeah.
Technically speaking?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. So if you're not doing, intending on doing a project, there are some things that we might recommend you do for maintenance purposes. And we can have that discussion. But if you're not doing a renovation or addition project, likely wouldn't trigger being required to do those things.
It might be good at some point to get those recommendations and any kind of cost associated.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it, thank you.
I just had a small question. It says bike racks at the main entrance. Does that mean no more bike racks, the Delaware Avenue side of things?
I don't know if we got to that level of, where we can include them.
Okay, just make.
Yeah, they're there now.
You know, ones
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
like-
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
I think it only come up as sort of essential that we have that.
Yeah. yeah.
So I don't think we're recommending fewer than we have now.
Any other questions on scope?
Nope.
Okay, great. So I'll move into design update and kind of bring you along a little bit into our process and methodology for this. One of the things that helps to craft how the design comes together is the responses we got from the essence exercise that we did at the last community engagement. We've had some of these conversations early on, but wanted to do a refresh on this. And here's a summary of the responses that we got. And you can see some of the kind of understanding of what the library is and what the community is. So welcoming, inviting, homey, cozy, inclusive, diverse, accessible, engaging, knowledgeable, intelligent, always there, constant, reliable. So how that can inform the design in terms of what the vibe and essence of the reimagined library should share, as well as then supporting the community regarding how it's growing and evolving, and how there was conversation about a lot of diversity in terms of age groups and the generations that use the library, and 0 to over 100, and being really active and engaging for all of those age groups, things like that. Then looking at kind of, again, part of the process is how do we start to generate a narrative? So moving from that dovetail narrative into what does it look and feel like? So a place that can accommodate everyone individually and as a collective of diverse community members. Connection to nature was a theme that came up time and time again, and the exterior design and interior design being related and having cohesiveness there. We were also struck by the concept of a juxtaposition of geometric shape of the overall library. There's some interesting angles and geometry that exist that we're kind of also providing in the new additions, and how organic forms and that connection to nature and biophilia, how those two things can intersect in a nice way. And using organic shapes and things like that to provide a meandering path in the ceiling to interrupt how the columns and lighting and things like that navigate throughout the building. And thinking about that, a lot of the spaces are open spaces with stacks and furniture, and there's a lot going on in terms of those elements. So balancing that with flooring and ceiling, and as those are the design elements. So really thinking about how that can then inform how spaces are zoned and that to enforce that gradient from the dovetail concept. So with that in mind, looking at as well kind of some of the color and texture and materiality comments that we've been receiving along the way. Here are some of the most favored images that we saw that cover a wide gamut of what the program would be within the building. So some vibrant, but still natural, and having natural and organic qualities to it. And then from the exterior, you know, this is something you've been seeing, but how wood can help to bring warmth to the brick, the existing brick of the space, how glazing can help activate the space, things like that. And so these are not new. You saw these last times as the exterior design. So looking at how there's, again, there's the geometric shapes of the existing library, and then juxtaposing that with the organic shapes, so that that's a concept that was strong on the exterior, and thinking about how can that be brought to the interior. And then the glazing and having that being strategically placed, we are kind of assessing that and looking at that more as well. So that's from as you come in the main entrance off of Borthwick. This is looking straight on at the parking lot main entry here in the middle. And there you see the detached butterfly roof concept. And this is from the other side of the parking. So you see the smaller community room here and the craft children's area here. And then moving to the interior, so this is what we're proposing, and I'll caveat this with want to get any comments, initial reactions you have now, but in about a week we'll be kind of reviewing this in more detail, looking at comments, how does this need to be revised, and getting more into the weeds on the design. So this is kind of the first, this is new, but it's not set in stone. So just know that everything is up for your comments. So this would be that walking into the main library, the main entry here on the left, coming in to the lobby, gallery, display corridor space. So looking at how community art is shown, as well as having furniture and activating those spaces. And then the window nooks here, having the furniture in that. So it's kind of providing a nice daylit area. And looking at how that's activated around. You'll also see the wood ceiling element. Again, that's a big driver for bringing natural elements and materiality into the space, and also connecting the exterior of the building with the interior of the building.
Well, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So then, you're using the term activated, I'm not sure what you mean by that, just or clarify. Like,
Yeah,
does that mean-
so having the energy that there's activity, there's movement of people and other programs that you can see and feel, you know, whether it's being as you're approaching the building, once you're in the building, kind of feeling that you're part of that community, part of the overall library experience. So there's different things like transparency from one space to the other, how lighting is used, how connection to exterior space. Those are all methods that we use for activating the environment.
Great, thank you.
So then kind of turning from that view, right in front of you is the entry into the main library. So this is still the lobby space, and you see the ceiling kind of swooping in all the way through the space. And then you'll also see how we're introducing some of the organic shapes with the ceiling elements. We are still studying lighting, so looking at how much light, what the appropriate fixtures are, so that's a little bit TBD. And then kind of showing a display wall on the right side. You know, we want to have more conversations about what should that actually be saying, what should it inform patrons with. So right now it's a placeholder of maybe it's a sign that says Bethlehem Public Library, maybe it's something else, and also some display boards, whether it's informational or the building management system to show patrons what the energy usage is, things like that. And then furniture, again, that's also a placeholder. You know, maybe it's cafe tables like is shown, maybe it's lounge furniture, and that's still to be determined. Then coming into the main library, so this is a view as you come through the doors. The circulation desk is on your left. You see in the distance on the right is that living room space. We're showing, we'll be bringing more specifics on what some of these materials are that we'd be proposing, but looking at a variety of carpet tile in the spaces. This helps with acoustics, as well as is a good way to bring in some color without too much color, and have some organic shapes. So thinking about sort of these meandering paths and colors that intertwine with one another. So in this case, some gray, some green. Again, the color is all TBD. We want to have that conversation with you, but showing something that we would propose. and having some accent over the circulation desk to highlight that. And then some signage and other informational display. And then you see the book stacks throughout display areas as well. And then this is that center living room. Again, that's where your current reference desk is. So you're using that as a kind of main hub for activity that's maybe a little bit louder, but you'll see it inside that space. We're proposing some acoustic panels, and we'll be studying exactly how that happens so that it doesn't become too loud for the rest of the library. On the right side is a view into some of those study rooms, meeting rooms, and having that connection. A diversity of furniture. Again, this is a placeholder, but thinking about maybe it's some lounge furniture, some group tables, things like that. And then the information desk, reference desk, we again want to talk about how that should be signed, but making sure that that's visible and prominent from both entry points. And then the book stacks throughout. And then you see the lighting and these circle elements in the ceiling, bringing that geometric or bringing that organic form into the geometric building. And this is looking more to the, was there a question?
Nope.
Okay, sorry, I think maybe there's an echo every now and again, sorry. Then turning a little bit more to the right. So this view is on more towards the right is into the children's area, but more straight ahead is starting to glimpse into the teen area, the open teen area. And then in the distance is glazing into the teen space, enclosed space. And here this would be introducing a little bit more color in the ceiling and having these organic shapes start to bring a little bit more color into the environment. Also kind of going from the green accents in the main library and transitioning into maybe some yellow and other accent colors to denote a different zone. And then in the children's library, being a little bit more saturated with fun colors. Again, the colors are all up for your comment. We're also showing in that back wall kind of something that kids can sit in. So being mindful of the height and safety and things like that, but a wall that they can inhabit and feel comfortable and cozy. And as a backdrop to that open play space. And then bringing in some different lighting elements that bring a little bit more fun and color into the space. And then again, the carpet is a great way to introduce some color and weaving elements throughout the space. So those are the interior renderings. Again, I know that this is new. They are generated from the design concept and elements that we've been hearing from you, as well as the imagery that everyone responded well to. But I know this is, again, new, so happy to any initial reactions here or for more discussion next week. The rest is just a quick update on schedule. So next week we have a children's session. So if there's any parents that would like to come and meet with us, that'll be after the I think it's a dinosaur activity. And then we'll be delivering the design development package with cost estimate. So we'll have that update by July 1st. We have another Talk to the Architect session July 31st, community forum on August 20th, and then looking to schedule something else likely in September with the bond vote on the 1st. So I can go back to any of the renderings or any initial reactions or comments.
I have a quick comment. Can you go to that children's space, one of the last slides you showed? It's interesting because I know a lot of people talk about the size of the children's space. And maybe it's just the rendering. Is that showing them kind of full space, or is that kind of a few steps into it?
It's
just
probably 2/3 into it.
Okay, thank you. Because I was thinking it looked kind of small, but if you're already in the space, then there's a bunch of space behind. Right?
Yes, yep.
Got it.
And to the right as well, the craft space is to the right, out of view.
I had the same reaction that it looked very small.
Okay.
And I also didn't think that it looked very childlike.
Okay.
But I realize this is early days on this one.
And so I think when you engage the parents, you might want to make sure you show those like full space so that they don't see this and think that is the full space, you know,
right.
So.
Okay.
The other thing, Suzanne, I was wondering about, because I'm one of the vocal ones on the drive up window. And also one of the ones that questioned the one door you had on the right of the graphic.
Right.
Whether or not that would stay put. I just wanted to ask, have we eliminated the problem of pedestrians through the drive-through area?
Yes, so with the addition of or I guess maintaining the Delaware Avenue entry, people should be able to go right into that door. And there would be no need for them to cross the curbside pickup loop. If I
Okay.
understood your question correctly. I can
Yeah,
go.
no, I think that you did understand it correctly. It seemed from the graphic. Oh, maybe you're going back there now. Okay.
Yeah.
So right where that green arrow is, the rightmost door on the graphic, it almost looks to me like people could walk into the drive-through window area, or will there be landscaping there that prevents that?
Good question. So we are showing a walkway that at this time, the intent is that this will double as loading for the public services material and their van. So having that sort of a walkway there for them for safety purposes, but that's anticipated to happen not during patron hours. And then the path is not connected from the Delaware through here. So you could walk that way, but there isn't a walkway to encourage that. There's a break right here, if you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
Alright.
So if we don't want to have that pathway there, it's still, okay, we can discuss that more.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I had a question on that pathway. I'm not, what's the point? Kind of like,
The pathway at the curbside?
no, the one before it breaks, when it goes around from Delaware Avenue, it kind of just stops there. Is that just decorative or like what's the?
Yeah, so thinking about some landscape elements and encouraging use of the full green space. So looking at what seating, benches, things like that, and plantings. So kind of being able to use the sort of front lawn of the library rather than not having access to that.
Right.
Suzanne, where were you? I know we've talked about it, but envisioning the after hours book drop being?
Yeah, so it's located now, and now I'm trying to remember where we ended up with it.
I thought it was near the book drop circle. It's not, but I,
Goodness, I don't know.
you know, the curbside pickup, wasn't it in that area somewhere?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. I apologize, I don't know exactly where it landed. There was a lot of good conversation about wanting to not have it interfere with curbside pickup and safety and things like that, but I apologize. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Suzanne, we talked about maybe having it as you come from the Delaware path, right at kind of the intersection of the corner lot line with the corner property there.
Over here somewhere.
The curbside pickup?
Yeah, just south of the window. We talked about the book drop being in that area.
Okay. Yeah, I think, oh yeah, right here, it says book drop, right here.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll just mention a couple comments. First, I love the ceiling, the natural feel of it. I love the brightness of the space, so I think that all looks great. I would just suggest in the renderings, that we do show more of that diversity of ages. It feels a little bit like the same age range right now, and I want the whole community to see themselves. I'd also like to see a wheelchair user or, you know, and actually in this space, I assume so, but I was thinking, you know, making sure that it's clear that there's enough clearance around everything for wheelchairs, for strollers and things like that. So just want to make sure everyone can see themselves reflected in the renderings.
Great comments, thank you. Absolutely.
yeah, 'cause I could imagine this, none of this looks cluttered, but I can see someone coming in here and saying, kind of like me in the grocery store with everything's in the aisle. That it may appear that this is gonna be hard to maneuver, whether you're using a walker or a wheelchair, even though the things may actually be further apart than they look like they are.
Mhm. Okay.
I had one other idea. So Jeff, you see in this picture where it says circulation and the Bethlehem logos back there?
Yeah.
One idea, it has nothing to do with you, Suzanne, is that potentially, if that's up for discussion to change, you can partner with the district and put up a contest for the art classes to come up with a new logo. And then, the trustees judge or something. I think it'd be kind of fun, unless people want to absolutely keep that. Be kind of nice,
I had a similar, well, I was thinking that it was bothering me that the greens didn't match. But then it did get me thinking that maybe it's, and I know logos, I have been through so many logo redesigns over my career. People are very emotional about logos, just as emotional as they are about buildings. But I did have a similar thought that maybe not to add anything into the mix, but it's a refresh opportunity, but I'm not like at all.
And maybe one of the architects who sit on the committee. I mean, it's just kind of fun, I thought, no promises, but I just thought it'd be kind of nice to reconsider and partner with the district and get some young people involved.
I had a question.
Your head's exploding back there.
I had a question and comment. We talked about early in the project having the independent living center, someone come over as either volunteer or consultant to do a full disability review of whatever we land. So I think we should also make sure we keep our eye on that this looks very cluttered to me, actually. And I think not that I don't think it's going to be in reality, but I think we should have someone of the population actually come and do that kind of check of access piece. So I want to put that on the record that we should do that.
And just to comment on the ceiling, I love the wood on the ceiling. I'm not sure that I love the circles as much as, I mean, at the high school in the auditorium, I honestly don't like the circles up there. They look odd to me, but the pillar in the one circle here, I'm a little confused by that, but.
So I can explain a little bit where the idea came from, but all up for discussion, no problem there. So we do have these existing columns that are kind of in interesting locations with the new layout based on the existing structural design, and looking at how to kind of use them in a way that kind of denotes, maybe it's sort of signifying a little bit of like a tree, and having this lighting circle around the top of it is kind of this canopy effect a little bit, is kind of what we were thinking about. But then breaking it up with some circles don't have the column, some circles are off center to the column. So it, still needs refinement in that concept, but that's kind of where the concept came from for how the circles and the columns interact. But I appreciate your comment, and we can have more discussion on that.
Any other comments or no? I think we're good. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Thanks.
Okay, moving right along, we're going to go into the financial report, pages 12 through 21.
If you want to show the actual numbers, or
You tell me where you want me to
Yeah.
stop and I'll go there.
and then we can rest on that for a minute and then scroll up, to see the report. But expenses are tracking at about 6% under budget as of May 31st. And that compares to about 9% under budget last year. So we're spending more. Certainly, salaries and benefits are closer to budget than they were last year. We're at about 3% under compared to 5%. spending on library materials continues to be significantly greater than it was at this time last year, and it's likely to come in very close to budget. So, we're in good shape, and, we have 1 month to go. We'll have some audit adjustments, but, I'm sure we'll see a surplus. I don't know exactly what that will look like, but there will be a surplus. I want to make a comment on the investments. We had a treasury bill that came due on May 30th. That earned just over 28,000 in interest. And we rolled it over to a new 6-month T-bill with an ultimate value of $1,112,000, and that's a yield to maturity of almost 5.3%. So we'll return again, probably something close to $30,000 when that matures in November. We'll see what rates are then. If anybody has any questions about the report or bill pay schedule.
I did have one question. You mentioned that the cost of materials has risen significantly. Is that because?
Not so much the cost, but that we're spending more of the budget. We're spending a little faster than we did last year. Library materials.
Okay, is that because of the cost of electronic materials?
I think it's more due to the fact that materials are more available, during COVID and when we first came out of COVID, it was hard to get our hands on some materials. It took a while. And I think we're just, we're seeing that we're able to get the materials that we're ordering on a quicker basis.
Okay. All right.
Costs might be up a little bit too. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know that it's significant, but I don't have any data. I don't want to.
I just was wondering if it was a trend
We're
as we continue to move forward.
The instruction from last year was to more fully spend the budget as it became available, and this year it was easier to do.
Gotcha.
Thanks. Can I ask, is that one of the drivers that I noticed that the year-to-date spending were at 85.8%, and last year at this time we're 81.2%. I know it's just a small amount, but that's part of what's driving it.
That
Great.
is.
Thank you.
I'm guessing the biggest driver, as you said, is still increase in salaries.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And fully staffed.
And fully staffed, right?
Thank you.
Any questions for Sherry? Discussion? Okay, I need a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Seeing no opposition, that motion carries. Thank you. In the personnel report, page 22.
Actions requested. I'm back to fully staffed. So that's just something to know, nothing to do.
Congratulations.
It's nice. It's very different than 2 years ago.
Okay, great. Director's report.
All right, here you go. We're going to talk about seeker a little bit later on in the meeting, which is good. Just want to talk a little bit about the displays that we had last month, and we have more displays up this month. Just a list of lots of the programs that we had. I will not belabor this. I know we have a full meeting tonight. Talk about the continuing high attendance of our early literacy series. I just like to take note of this, and this is, we're using this room more as we roll into summer. We'll be able to do more of those outside, but we're doing a lot of our children's programs in here because this is the room that can best house 52 dancing children. So, some of those programs that used to take place in the story hour room are in the community room now. So that just makes this room a little bit less available to the community. I can't say that that's, I don't want to take the space away from the community, but the children's programs are our priority. So Lots of good crafts program. Of particular note, the senior prom. We haven't done that in several years. We've hosted them. That's a great collaborative program with Bethlehem Senior Projects and our friends over at Bethlehem Senior Services. Always great working with those folks. Happy to do that. Lots of good outreach. More in June so far. And then just talk a little bit about the museum pass circulation was up again as people are discovering the electronic use. And we had 35 checkouts that would not have happened before because the pass was available for fewer than 3 days. So someone was able to take it on the day. The pass was checked out within 3 days. So those passes that previously wouldn't, there were 2 people using the pass that previously there only would have been 1 person using that individual pass because we can check it out now. So door count continues to go up, which is wonderful. And then we have a new welcome packet. We're going to move forward with a bag with the new summer reading logo, and those bags and the welcome packet will be available to new card holders until they run out or throughout the summer.
That's a nice logo.
Yeah, it's nice, right? Yeah. No, you know what that one? It's evocative of our previous logo, right? Yeah. So there we go. Lots of good upcoming programs. The summer reading challenge has started. This occupies much of our attention, and then we've got our big kickoff event. We've got Jumpin' Jamie will come here and do 2 programs on Friday, June 28th. Everybody, keep your fingers crossed for good weather that day. That would be great.
That'd be good.
And then just really quickly, we won't be talking too much, but I had the opportunity to visit 3 branches of the Schenectady County Public Library with the director. Beautiful libraries, by the way. Fantastic. What they did to the main branch downtown, the children's room. It's been a while. Absolutely lovely. So it was good to visit them and get a chance to talk to the staff.
Have they done a renovation recently?
It was in 2012. They added a children's room onto a, sort of a brutalist 70s architecture, no surprise, 60s, 70s architecture. And the children's room was lovely, like just absolutely lovely. So
I was just gonna say Saturday, I get outdoors and get together a day across the state, but at Five Rivers, and I was very happy to see library staff there, lots of children engaging in that program. So it's a fun colliding of my worlds.
fun, awesome. So circulation up again, continue to see these high circulation numbers and good door counts. So that's it. I know we have a full meeting. I'll shut up. So.
Okay, any questions for Jeff? Okay, you wait till last, there's.
Not anything huge to report, just see everybody Wednesday at the annual celebration.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna make a motion to move into executive session now, a quick executive session. Motion is to discuss matters involving potential litigation per exemption 1083 of the open meetings law.
Second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Seeing no opposition, that motion carries. Quick executive session.
So after the executive, more after the.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots. Yes, there's lots.
more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty.
Go far.
Go for it. I'm going to stop the live stream for anybody out there in the ether. And we'll start it back up at the end of executive session.